Hey guys, it's Yvette and I am ready to tackle the clue number 5 for the Cotton Cuts Puzzle Mystery Quilt, and this one is the large Bewitched. So the Bewitched part just means my fabric and the large part means that this is the bigger quilt. So if you've seen the small whimsy that I did, this one is the large Bewitched, and I'm doing both so that you can see all of the progress that we're making in both sizes. And they typically are quite different from each other. Sometimes, and so you'll see, like if you go and you watch the small one, the cuts that we have and the clues that we are sewing up have very different pieces. So it's very interesting, and the way that we're putting them together, at least for this particular one, for sure, there's like it's just more evolved, and it's really kind of cool to watch how they come together. And there's extra pieces in this one because of course, the large one is bigger than the small one. So this week we have this clue pack has some extras for the large that are going to go in, I'm sure, strategic places to make it larger. So let's head over to the cutting mat and get started. Okay, so here we are with all our pieces. If you are familiar with the Cotton Cuts Puzzle Mystery Quilts, you know that all of the pieces are sent to us pre-cut. So because of that, you also will receive a clue package for each month, and it will list all of the pieces that you are to have in your package, which you should double check. And once you have determined that you have all of those pieces, you're ready to go. So I think we're ready to go. I have already pre-starched all my pieces. And I only do that with these sort of pre-cuts that I get from Cotton Cuts. And the reason why I do it is because I just feel like it gives my fabric a little more body. It's easier to work with whenever you're piecing, and I just very lightly starch everything. So we're all ready. These are the pieces that we are going to have once we are finished. And yes, my fabric is Bewitched. I always write it down so that I don't forget what I'm working on. And now we have our instructions on the other side. I'm going to set them over to the side so that I can just concentrate on my fabric. And let's get started. Hopefully you have your what I call my little cheat sheet, and it will tell you which fabric is each letter, because the way that it works as well is there are a whole bunch of different colorways, so everyone gets the same pattern and you go by letter to know which fabric goes where. Okay, so I'm going to just scooch all of this over for right now. Okay, in our first step, we're going to make some half square triangles with triangles A and D, which is this white and this little hatch. Well, it's A and D. Mine are the white and hatch. And we are going to make 2 of these. Okay, so I'm going to take 2 whites and 2 hatches, and the A fabric is going to the top left, so I'll set that like this, and the hatches are the bottom right. Okay, so we're going to take our fabric and we're going to flip it right sides together, go over to the sewing machine and stitch this seam allowance at 1/4 inch. Okay, here are the half square triangles that we just put together, and we are now going to attach a rectangle of the D fabric, which is again this blue with the hatch. So I'm going to take 2 of those rectangles and we are going to flip them right sides together and sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance right down this side. Okay, so now we have these 2 finished pieces, and we're going to put them aside for just a second while we sew the second step. So the second step is we're going to make another 2 half square triangles, and we're going to this time be using fabric F, which is this guy, and then fabric D, which is that guy. So again, making 2. So I'm going to take 2 of the star fabrics, I'm just going to call it that, and 2 of the hatch mark fabrics. Okay, and it looks like we are putting F at the top left, and we're putting D at the bottom right. So just as in the first step, we're going to fold these over right sides together, and we are going to sew our 1/4 inch seam allowance here and here. Okay, so we have those 2 half square triangles ready to go, and now we are going to attach a rectangle of fabric F, and we are going to attach them this time on the left side. So I'm going to move those down there, and I'll take 2 of these rectangles. Okay, and we're going to again just turn those right sides together, and we're going to sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance right here and right here. Okay, so now we have these completed, and we are going to join the pieces that we sewed together for part 1 or for number 1 to these, which is number 2. So we'll take these, and they're going to be sewn on the top, and the first ones we made will be sewed on the bottom, just like this. Okay, so we are going to flip them right sides together, and we're going to sew our 1/4 inch seam allowance right here and right here. Okay, so now we have these 2 put together, so let's put them aside for just a moment while we sew the next piece. And let's see, we are going to make 4 half square triangles, and we're going to use E and F, which is the little star fabric in the pink and the blue. Okay, and I think that's all, that's 4, yep. Okay, so we're going to put fabric E, which is the pink, to the bottom left. And then we'll take the F and we'll put it to the top right. And we'll go ahead and fold those right sides together. And we are going to sew our 1/4 inch seam allowance here, 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 and here. Okay, so we have these 4 half square triangles sewed up, and now we are going to add an E square to the left side. So these are our E squares, and I will put them to the left side. Okay, and we're going to flip them right sides together. And then we're going to sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance down the right side here. Okay, so we have these 4 pieces all sewed up, and now we are going to sew them together to make 2 pieces. So basically we're just going to take the bottom ones and turn them around, and they are going to be joined together in this way. So all we're going to do now is turn them right sides together, and we are going to sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance here and here. Okay, so we have these 2 squares ready to go for our next step, which is to add a rectangle of fabric F, and we are going to add that to the right side of the square. Okay, so we will just turn these right sides together, and we will sew our 1/4 inch seam allowance here and here. Okay, so we have these pieces put together, and now we are going to take the piece that we sewed together in step 3, which are these, and we're going to attach each one to the bottom of the one we just finished. So we will take this bottom piece and flip it up so they are right sides together. And we're going to sew our 1/4 inch seam allowance here and here. Okay, so these are the first 2 pieces that we have ready for clue number 5. So we're going to take these, and they should measure 9.5 by 12.5 inches. Okay, so I'm just going to put these together, and I've made a little label that says 5A. And I will just put that label on there and set it aside. Okay, and now we're going to make a lot of flying geese. So we're going to take our D fabric of large triangles, which are these, and we're going to make 6. Okay, and we are going to take our A fabric, which for me are these white ones, and we are going to put one on either side of the large triangles. Okay, so then what we're going to do as I always do, I'm going to sew all of the pieces on the left side first. So we're going to turn those over, right sides together. And we will sew our 1/4 inch seam allowance down this side of all 6 of these, and we'll come back and then sew on the right side. Okay, so we have sewed down the left side and pressed toward the A fabric, and now we're going to sew on the right side. So I will turn all of these down, right sides together. And we are going to sew our 1/4 inch seam allowance here, 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 and here. Okay, so I have these 6 flying geese ready, and I'm going to set them aside because we're going to make 6 more flying geese. So we're going to take our fabric B, this is the large triangles, and we're going to use all 6 of these. And then we're going to take our small triangle D, which are these, and we're going to put one on either side. Oops. Okay, and then we're going to make these flying geese just as we made these. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just make all 6 of these the exact same way we did those. First, we're going to turn down, right sides together, the left side of the flying geese. And then we will sew our 1/4 inch seam allowance down the sides here. Then we'll come back, and after we have pressed those toward the D fabric, we will then put the other side on and sew that seam allowance, press it, and then come back for our next step. So come right back after you finish those 6 flying geese. Okay, so as you can see, we have our flying geese. These are the first ones we did, and these are the second ones that we just finished. And now we're going to take those and we're going to put the first one on the top, the second one on the bottom, and then these rectangles are going to be sewed in the middle of them. So I'm going to take this first, and we will flip it right sides together and sew a seam here, a 1/4 inch seam allowance right here. And then we'll come back and we will press that seam, and we'll take our, this was the first flying geese we had. We will take that and turn it right sides together and then sew the 1/4 inch seam here. As soon as I have all 6 of those finished, I will come back and we will be done with clue number 5. We finished! This is our 5B. So we have these all done, and here's our 5A, our 5B. We're ready to put them away until month 10 when we're going to put them all together. So I have my labels on. I'm going to throw them in my storage container. Let me get that out. Okay. So I'm just going to put these all on top. Well, let me put that to the top. And I'm going to save my instructions. And there we go. So until next month, you guys have fun sewing, and thanks for sewing with me. I'll see you next time.